heard about Meowtel, which is an app that cat sitters and cat owners use to connect with each other. In this video, I am going to tell you all about my experiences as a Meowtel sitter. So if cat sitting is something that you've ever considered doing, or on the flip side, if you're a cat owner wondering is this a viable option to find an awesome cat sitter, then you want to stay tuned. So let's start with how I heard about it. So it was definitely on social media. I browse and I belong to a ton of cat related groups. And these algorithms on social media, they are smart, they know what you're searching for, and when you do search for it, they show you more of it. So an ad for Meowtel popped up, and I'll be honest with you, the first time I saw it, I didn't think a lot of it. I kind of thought it was like one of those ads that sounds so great, and then you click on it, it's not really what it says. I didn't really look into it that much. But it kept popping up the more I logged in, and so eventually I clicked on it. And when I did, it actually immediately piqued my interest because I learned really quickly that Meowtel is essentially like Rover, which is the popular dog sitting app, which I actually had a profile on. So I was like, oh, this is actually more geared toward cats, which is perfect for me because although I was on Rover, I was not able to accept most of the jobs offered to me on Rover. I live in a patio home development where we don't have yards. And a lot of the jobs on Rover are people wanting to drop their enormous dogs off at my house for an entire day of daycare or a week while they're on vacation. And although I love dogs too, I have two furry brothers, or honestly, it's sad because I'm still saying I have two, but one died in 2022. I have one furry brother and one memory of a precious furry brother. As someone whose home is not a great environment as for a dog sitting thing, I thought Meowtel was just a much more perfect fit for me. And yeah, perfect, as I say that, I'm thinking Purrfect. Yeah, perfect. Anyway, I was intrigued for that reason alone. I love animals, but just my environment is more geared toward cats, so I thought, okay, this could work. I have done cat sitting for a while, actually. It started kind of as I would say almost a favor to a family that I knew. And then just, through referrals, it kind of grew to a couple of more families that I regularly cat sit for. It was never a formal thing, but in the back of my mind, because I am such a cat person and I'm a business person, I keep thinking, could this turn into more? So I really thought Meowtel would be a good way to test that out on top of the fact that I'm passionate about cats and just, the structure would be better. So let's talk about the application process, which, by the way, is not a joke. So take comfort in this. If you are a cat owner, take comfort in the fact that Meowtel is very serious about its application process. They really do a good job screening people. And I remember this being very different on Rover, and I'll be honest, it was a long time ago when I signed up, so I might be forgetting something. But I do not recall having to go through nearly as many hoops to be on Rover. I mean, I kind of just remember setting up the profile and starting to get requests. On Meowtel, it's very different. You fill out an application. That application includes a quiz, too. The quiz is not a huge deal. It deals with cat knowledge and cat sitting situations. It's basically something where if you're reading the material they give you and paying attention, you can easily pass the quiz. But nonetheless, there's a quiz, and you also have to provide references to them, which they absolutely check, I know for a fact. So I had to provide 3 references of people I had cat sit before. And I know they reached out to them because my references told me they did. And then once they kind of clear those hurdles, they schedule an onboarding call, which is it's done electronically. Mine was via Zoom. And it's essentially a face-to-face meeting with somebody where they kind of explain how Meowtel works, they explain the rules and kind of the guidelines to follow, and then they help you set up your sitter profile. So more accurately, I filled it out and then they kind of reviewed it. They looked at my photo and they said, that's a great photo. They read my bio and they gave suggestions for things that I could tweak or play up. And they talked to me about setting my rates and radius. So my rates are obviously what I charge for the particular jobs. And there are different types of jobs on Meowtel. So there are 1 time a day drop-in visits. There are 2 times a day drop-in visits. And then there are overnight visits. So you can make yourself available for any or all of those things, and then you can set different rates for each one. So they give you some guidelines on rate setting and what in your area is the general average, so you know kind of if you're in the ballpark. And then in terms of radius, that's basically just how far away a client lives. And I remember my onboarder reminding me, you set your radius at 10 miles. Remember that is 10 miles there and 10 miles back, so just be cognizant of that. And again, they go through their rules and expectations. So essentially the first 60 days is a trial period once they approve you. And during that trial period, some of the expectations include that you need to respond to all customer inquiries within the 12 to 24-hour period allotted for that. And that variation just depends on when that customer initially sent you the message. So they give you more time for messages that like arrive in the middle of the night when you might be sleeping versus a message that arrives at, noon in the middle of the day. But prompt response to customers, and also that includes accepting or rejecting a job. And they're definitely really strict and reiterated multiple times that you are never to take a job off of Meowtel, meaning if a customer reaches out to you, you can't say, well, here's my cell phone number, give me a call and let's discuss that, or have them pay you separately off the site, or basically just shift business away from the app. Not allowed. If they catch you, that they can kick you off. Another expectation is that you update your availability at least once every 30 days, so make sure you stay current with when you're available. And then finally, they just let you know that during the trial period, not only there's expectations, but if any complaints get escalated to Meowtel from a customer and they rule in that customer's favor, that they will in fact deactivate your profile. But don't get too caught up in this trial period, because frankly, I didn't find it to be really any different than my period since then working as a Meowtel sitter. So it's really just them keeping a closer eye on you. But in terms of practical, like day-to-day, like taking jobs and just how things work, it really was no different. So if you are a diligent and responsible person, you will have zero issues with this. And again, speaking to you as a cat owner, I'm really glad they do it, just to make sure that the people they are keeping on their system, are worthy of taking care of your fur babies. So once you pass the kind of onboarding call, they will start you out by giving you your first review on your sitter profile, which is helpful because it's a 5-star review and they basically tell people that your references have been checked and that you're a sitter in that area. So that will help kind of kick-start your business. So now that I've kind of explained how it works, let me tell you what my experience have been like so far as a Meowtel sitter. So I joined in July of 2022, so it has been about 6 months for me. And in that time, I have had 11 clients that I have done jobs for through Meowtel, some of them multiple repeat jobs. And then there have been 6 people I turned down. The turndowns were almost all because of people contacting me from way outside the radius that I set. Generally speaking, I take the jobs that I've set my availability for, but when someone contacts me and they live 30 miles further than I had said, that's probably not gonna happen. And as I mentioned, you set your own radius and payments, or your amount you charge. But what is important to know is that Meowtel has a variable commission structure. And what this means is they take anywhere from 30 to 15% of your earnings. They keep that. And I kind of think of this as a marketing fee. So that's what you are paying Meowtel in order to not only market your business and find you work and, have the app and the support, but also, and this is very, very important, you actually are insured through Meowtel when working through the app. So if something were to happen, you are protected, and that is very valuable. It's also important to keep in mind, and again, it's not allowed, but another good reason not to violate the rules and take jobs off the system is if you do that and something were to happen, you are not insured. So the insurance would not extend and cover you there. Okay, so what determines if it's 30 to 15% is just simply how long you have worked for that client. Actually, it's not really accurate to say long, it's how much you have earned from that client. So all new clients start out with Meowtel taking 30%, but the second that you earn, I think it's $300, then from that one client, then the commission that Meowtel takes drops down to 25%. Then once you earn, the next tier is from $300 to $1,000 with that client. Once you get above $1,000, Meowtel's commission drops to 20%. And then finally, if you have earned $3,000 or more with that client, Meowtel takes 15%. The good thing about the earnings is they are lifetime cumulative, so it's not like starting over every year. So the commission rate does drop. The other thing to keep in mind is that during the holidays, and there's all types of federal holidays that they set, there's a surcharge that the site adds to the customer, which just basically means more money in your pocket. So when I did a bunch of Thanksgiving and Christmas jobs, the surcharge was 30%, which basically took care of Meowtel's fee and essentially meant that I was getting 100% of what I had set my earnings at, if that makes any sense at all. So I have to say, The clients that I've had have been amazing. The cats are just so adorable. I mean, they range from young, rambunctious kittens to older cats with some health challenges, different personalities. You know, some hide from me the entire time, some greet me at the door and want to play the entire time, and everything in between. The one constant is no matter what the situation is, I'm just thrilled to be there. Like, cats literally make me happy, and so I really enjoy being able to go into all these different environments, see all the different kitties. I pride myself on taking great photos and little video clips to send to the parents. This is a side note. You do that through their app. You send the photos and updates and videos through the app. One interesting contrast between Meowtel and Rover is Rover's really lax about pretty much everything that Meowtel is really kind of strict and diligent about up until this point. But then when you get to the job, the app on Meowtel is really casual. Like, it doesn't track your times. You just basically message the client and send the photos and tell them an update. And they do give you guidance on how to write a good update. But like, Rover app is strict. Like, it tracks your time when you enter the house and when you leave the house, and you have like a chart that you have to fill out. And so it's just an interesting contrast to me that Rover's so lax about a lot of the early stuff where Meowtel isn't, and then it kind of flips when you get to the app. So personally, I like Meowtel's approach better just because I like free writing my updates and just sending photos and videos, and you know, I take pride in doing a good job on that. So that to me is better than having an app track my every movement and like checking a box and stuff. So there you go. A couple of tips that I've learned would be, well, okay, let's start with this. Don't forget to factor in the meet and greet into your rate time, because the meet and greet is essential. A meet and greet is essentially a meeting that you have with the cat parents before taking the job, and you go over to their house to meet their cat, meet them, get instructions, kind of see the layout. That is not compensated, so kind of build that into your rates, because that's an extra visit to the home. Also, it is essential that you do a meet and greet. I think it's actually in the rules, but I will just tell you that I have been shocked by the number of pet parents that have told me as the sitter that they want to hire for me for a job and that they'll just leave the key under the porch or here's the code to my house, and they were totally comfortable doing that without ever having met me. And I personally, like, I won't take a job like that just because there's so much liability on my end. I mean, I'm going into their house, these are their babies, I want to make sure that I know where I'm going, what they expect, what it looks like, there are no surprises the day of. You know, for example, what if I went over there and the code doesn't work, or there's just so many things I can think of. So definitely do a meet and greet, like for your protection, for the cat's benefit, for the comfort of the pet parents hiring you. Do it, but build it into your rates. And also keep in mind that you're going to have to return the keys after the job wraps in most cases. So that's another trip out to the house. So think about that when setting rates. I say in most cases because maybe there is a house code, or there's been a couple clients who have said, just leave the key here on the last day of the job. I will do that, except for I cover myself by taking a photo or a short little video clip of me doing that and sending it to them and saying, here's where your key was left. I also, this is more just kind of like a weird quirk of mine, because I have a little bit of like panic about like, did I lock the door? Is everything okay when I'm watching somebody else's house? So I will always film myself locking the door, punching in the code, and testing it to make sure it's locked. I won't always send that to the client, but I always want that for my own protection, because my mind is thinking, what if something happens? I don't want it to come back on me like she didn't lock my house. So that's just like a little tip for success and just peace of mind. I would say 2 other smart things to do would be to have some kind of system for tracking the keys at your house. If you are working with multiple clients, it's very easy to mix those up. So I dedicated a specific area for keys, and every time I bring a new one home, I put some masking tape on the key ring and just write the cat's name so they don't get mixed up. And then I find it really helpful too, and this is just something I've learned through experience with the jobs, no matter how straightforward the instructions seem from the pet parents when you meet them, just ask them to please write it down, leave it on the counter, or just text you a list of the major things to remember. And this is just helpful because when you're juggling multiple jobs, these things that seem so obvious at the time you're meeting them do get somewhat harder to track. So it's just another way of making sure you are providing top tier service and the cat is getting everything it needs in the meantime. Now, they will tell you when you are onboarded to Meowtel to keep in mind or assume that like literally every single person you work for has a camera or a Ring like watching you the entire time. This is really good advice. I mean, I don't worry about this too much because I would never go into somebody's house and do something that I would be ashamed of, so I'm not paranoid about that, but like do keep that in the back of your mind. And it's not necessarily because you're thinking about doing anything horrible, but like let's say your cell phone rings while you're at somebody else's house and the person who's calling you need to have a serious discussion with, or they're known for saying maybe some controversial things, or like just think about what's being recorded or what might be picked up. So just, you know, good thing to keep in the back of your mind. So my final like pet sitter tip would just simply be to like keep in mind about the unexpected. So like during the holiday season, there was like a 3-week period of time this December that I just had like literally 5 or so cat sitting jobs a day. And I am not kidding, guys. Literally the night before, my car was hit and totaled in an accident. No joke, like 3 seconds after being hit, sitting in my car, still being stunned, my iPhone telling me I was just in an accident. My first thought was, oh my God, my cat sitting jobs. What am I going to do? Like just because the car was not drivable. I mean, honestly, I was panicking. Now, fortunately, I live in a state where my family is, and my dad told me, worst case, you could have borrowed my car. As it turned out, I got a rental through the insurance company because the accident was not my fault. Everybody was okay, most important thing. But I just have to say, like, when I took those jobs, it never really occurred to me what happens if the car goes down. So think about the unexpected, plan for contingencies if possible. It's just a smart thing to do in business and in life in general. Okay, so in sum, I'm going to speak to you as both a cat owner and a cat sitter. As a cat owner, I think you can take tremendous comfort in how diligently Meowtel works to screen their sitters and make sure they are onboarding people who are serious about the job, who do what is required, and who handle themselves as professionals. So having gone through the process, I do have faith in it, and if I needed a cat sitter for Miss Katniss, I absolutely would feel confident using Meowtel for finding that. Miss Katniss does have a regular cat sitter that existed long before I joined Meowtel, so I do continue to use her. However, there may come a day where I need somebody and I would like literally feel no hesitation jumping on the app to find one. As a cat sitter, I think the app is an awesome way to do something that you are passionate about, that you enjoy doing, and that can earn legit extra money. So I think probably a lot of people are probably wondering like, how much can you earn through this? So my response to that would be kind of simple, which is like, how much do you want to work? Because this is one of those things that no matter that the amount that you make is going to basically reflect how much effort you put into it. I think that pretty realistically, just based on my early experiences, it's super feasible to make $500 to $1,000 extra dollars a month without doing anything too crazy. Now that's staying fairly busy, but you just need a few clients to, you know, keep you in the loop when they go out of town regularly, or a longer job. And of course it depends. Are you doing 1 time a day visits, 2 time a day visits, or overnight visits? But I think, you know, $500 to $1,000, completely realistic range. You can take it higher than that, you can do less, and the flexibility is one of the things that makes it super awesome to consider. So in sum, if this is something that interests you, I would seriously encourage you to sign up and see where it takes you. I personally, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is something that I do think about, like, could I turn this into a fuller time business? So I do consider a lot of what I do in this app to be almost like market research, to think about, is this something that I want to pursue further? But even if that answer turns out to be no, this is still a very legitimate side business that I absolutely love doing, that has freedom, flexibility, that makes me happy. And I don't think that you can ask for a lot more than that. One thing to keep in mind, if you are, last thing, because I know this is going long, but if you are a cat owner, like I am, keep in mind that you come home smelling like cats a lot, and if you have the jealous type, as Miss Katniss can be, that residue, that residual smell may affect your house cat. So just be cognizant of that. Take more showers than normal, maybe change clothes. Early on, I kind of got the message from Katniss that she didn't really appreciate me coming home smelling like half of the neighborhood's cats. And so she stopped actually cuddling up near my head and sleeping with me at night, which made me super sad. But it was funny because I kind of sensed it was related to the jobs. And then the second I made a more cognizant effort to come home and like take off those clothes or get that scent off of me, she went right back to her old ritual. So definitely, like, sometimes you just gotta read your cat, but keep that in mind. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you listening to my stories about Meowtel. If you have any questions about my experience on the app or anything else that I did not cover, please leave it in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.